happen in the next years, in the next 2 years?
I think Detroit's always been on like the cutting edge. I mean, this is like one of the first cities to do a lot of things. You know, whether it was pay a living wage or really put out mass production. You know, there's a lot of revolutionary things happened here. Detroit could be the first city to go completely post-industrial and become like a village city. There's a huge urban farming movement. Like there's a lot of possibility here, or it could collapse. I mean, there's like the idea that maybe this lifestyle is just too heavy on the planet, and we're not going to be able to pull it off. But I'd like to think that Detroit could be a model of sustainability for the whole world.
And you see a movement like this coming.
It's in pockets. I mean, there's like a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and I'd like to see more solidarity within it. I think that would really be the thing that makes Detroit happen is like all the groups let go of their like petty differences and like realize that they all have like the same goals and like move together with it.
Yeah. What about the city? The authority?
I mean, I think the story with the city is the same story as every city. All cities are corrupt. All power is corrupt. I mean, it's. In a lot of I've gone to some of the meetings where they discuss, how we're going to move forward with Detroit, and when somebody in the audience says, "We need a Walmart," the city is like, "Yeah," they think that's the solution. So, like, the city just isn't really ready to wrap their brain around the idea that no, Walmart's not the answer, or Myers, or a Whole Foods. None of those things are the answer to really turning your city into a model for the future. Like, those are all the past. I would go to the Woodward Avenue Action Association's meeting, and they would discuss what they were doing to take action on Woodward, and they decided to put up banners, and the banners have pictures of old cars from things that Detroit used to make. And I was like, well, you guys are just in the past, Like, why don't you put up a bike lane instead? For the money you're spending, that could paint a bike lane, and you guys could actually have a safe place for bikers to ride. And it was just, it's like when you say ideas like that, they're kind of like, well, that's a good idea, but and that's it. They had a pretty long discussion on the length of the park benches they were going to install not being long enough for homeless people to sleep on. And
wow.
I was like, that's so not what's important. I mean, it should be long enough for a homeless person to sleep on. Why not? It's not
Detroit, Michigan, October 11, 2012. Mars from the Real Occupy Detroit.
When you're not using it. So, I don't know, I just think, there's a lot of people who are so, entrenched in the old system that they'll fight, tooth and nail to keep that system afloat, even when it's, falling apart from underneath them. And, they'll basically risk all of our lives in order to maintain a lifestyle that their children will never see.
And what could be a lever to all this idea of the sustainable city, of taking a different path and being at the beginning of a new trend, more sustainable, more equality? What could be the thing that make the city realize? Because I'm sure they know you exist, they know that people are trying to do things, and they should do this. I can't imagine them thinking of that kind of initiative in a bad way. So.
I think it's for people in power, it's going to come to a point where, eventually the currency system collapses, and they're sitting there going well, what do I do? And that's when they're going to be interested in this. When they can't just go buy McDonald's.
But the city already collapsed, no?
Yeah.
Whether the city collapses or not, the people in power in the city still have money. And as long as they still have money and it still spends, nothing changes. You know, it's got to be to the point where at some point, like, you can have pockets full of money and it won't mean anything. And like that's the point where people are gonna be like, so food security, what's this all about? Where does a tomato come from?
Energy independence, huh?
You know, like that's when that happens, and when all of a sudden the lights go off at their house. I mean, that's going to be the day when they're like, so these solar panels, so they light your house up, eh? You know, and maybe at that point it might be too late. You know, I mean, if we completely run out of resources, you're not going to be able to build solar panels anymore.
Nice and warm in here.
You know,
Wood burning stove, right?
Yeah, we just hooked it up last week.
Very cool.
Mars.
Mars. Charlotte reporting.